Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very long awaited video. I feel like I have been planning to film this video for so long, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. But this is going to be my hockey series romance book recommendation video, so let's just get right into it. So I have played around with the idea of this video for probably close to a year now, trying to decide how I wanted to do it, how I wanted to go about it, because I love hockey romances. Like, I read so many of them, I love so many of them, and there's so many that I want to talk about, and so many of them have so many books that I was just like, the idea of doing this video was so overwhelming to me that I just didn't know where to start. I was like, do I do a video where I just talk about all the series, or do I do an individual video for each series? And I ultimately decided that I think I'm going to do both. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite hockey romance series, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of detail about them, you know, if they're college or if they're professional, or what the vibes of the series are, just like different things. I might describe the first book a little bit, but then I may do like an actual in-depth video on each of these series in the future, where I talk about each book and the tropes in it and just like the different stories, because they are all, for the most part, interconnected standalones, so I can talk about each book without it being really spoilery. So I will probably do that in the future. This video is just going to be sort of like a general introduction to these series. So I'm really excited to get into this. Like I said, I love a good hockey romance. So let's just get started. So the first series, I feel like this is probably one of the more popular ones, is the Pucked series by Helena Hunting. This is one that I really love. She actually just came out with some really nice new covers of these. They're like rainbow, so each book in the series is a different color, and I think those are super cool. These ones are all, the ones I have are all like the red spines. You can see them. That's the rest of the series there. So this series has 7 books in it that I consider like the core books. It does have a lot of sort of novellas to it. It also has a crossover with another one of Helena's series, which is about tattoo artists. So there's like a crossover novella between the two, with the tattoo artists tattooing the hockey players. But just the like core books, there's 7, and I personally really love this series. I know this is like one of those ones that people either really love or they just don't get, and I think the thing with this one is it is very lighthearted. Like, don't go into this expecting like an emotionally moving sort of story, because that's just not what these are. They are just very easy, fun reads, and they're very quick to get through because of that. There's really nothing that I can think of in these that is like a particularly heavy topic or anything. And so I really enjoy these ones. They're ones that I find I go back to often and just like read a chapter here and there, because I just really, they're like the kind of book you could just like pick up and read like probably the middle chapter and still be like, oh, okay, like I understand what's happening. And so I do that every once in a while with like my favorite scenes for my favorite characters. I will say my favorite book in this series is the one with Lance, which I think is Pucked Off. And that one is really good. That one's like everybody's favorite, is really good. This is a professional hockey team in Chicago. So they are all older. This first book is Pucked, obviously. And this one follows Violet, whose stepbrother is on this hockey team. And so she's kind of over the hockey players. She's like, I'm never gonna date one. Like, I can't be around the hockey players, because her dad is also, I believe, like a coach or something, and she's used to guys sort of using her to get to her dad, because he, you know, has all these ins with the hockey team. And so she's like, I'm not going to date anyone that has any interest in hockey, because they're just going to use me. So she ends up kind of getting dragged to one of her stepbrother's hockey games, because she's just kind of always there, I guess. And she's just like not really interested in being there. So she's actually sitting in the stands reading. She's just like, yeah, whatever, like I don't really care about this. And she ends up, this guy on the team who's the captain ends up like smashing into the boards right in front of her, and she's like, holy jeez. And she is just like, wow, he's like really attractive, and ends up seeing him at the party later when she's there with her stepbrother, and they sort of go from there. They sort of keep it hidden from the stepbrother for a while because they don't want him to know. And like I said, this one's just really very lighthearted, very fun, very easy to read, and I really love that, because I just love books like that are, I don't feel like they're draining to read, and I really enjoy that with this series. And like I said, they just redid the covers. They're really nice now. And so personally, this is one that I do really enjoy. Next, sort of going off of that series, is the All In series by Helena Hunting. This is a spin-off series. It consists of 4 books that follow the Pucked series. It's sort of like a continuation, sort of in the same way. If you've read the Off-Campus books and the Briar U books, you know that like Briar U is considered a spin-off, but it's very, very similar. That's sort of how these books are. Like, it's the same. The guy in this book is in the Pucked books, like, you know him. It's sort of just a continuation, but they're written as a spin-off. And this one is about a guy who is on the team, and he goes to Alaska for like a week or something, or maybe for like the whole summer, I don't remember. But he's in Alaska, and he's there because him and his brother and his dad, I think, used to go on this trip all the time. And this particular time, he ends up there alone. And he meets this girl on this tiny little plane on the way there, and she is like super scared of this plane, and so he ends up talking to her, and she has no clue who he is, and they end up spending the entire time there together because she's actually staying just down the road. She's doing some like marine biology research or something with the whales or something like that, and so they end up spending the entire time together, but he ends up having to go home because of an emergency, and he leaves and doesn't realize he hasn't really given her a way to contact him. And so they just kind of never see each other, and then years later they bump into each other at an aquarium while he is playing for the team from the first Puck series, and obviously she recognizes who he is at that point, and things go from there. The series, like I said, 4 books, and personally I really like the first 3 in this better than the last one. Didn't love that one, but like I said, very similar vibe. I will say this one sort of seemed a little less jokey, I guess, than Pucked. Like I said, Pucked is very laid back and very easy to read, very easygoing. This was a little bit more serious, I think, in terms of like content-wise of what was in here. But I think very similar vibes, like I said, professional hockey team in Chicago, and this is following more of the players from those teams. The last book is not about the players, it's about the coach, I believe, or just the parents of the couple from this 3rd book, actually. But I really enjoyed this series as well. I don't know if I would say I liked it as much as Pucked. Pucked is like really up there for me. I really enjoy that series. I just think it's so different and unique in what it offers, but did really enjoy this series as well. Then again, going off of that, there is Little Lies, and this is part of the Lies, Hearts, and Truths series by Helena Hunting, and these are obviously published under H. Hunting. I'm not sure why the differentiation with that, but that's how these ones are published. And this one actually follows, this is like a next gen series, so this one actually follows the son of this couple with the daughter of this couple in this book. So I really, really love this. I think if you read all 3 series in order, it's just really, really good. And this one, 5-star read. 100%. Absolutely love this. I've heard of people reading this that haven't even read the Pucked books and giving it 5 stars because it's so, so good. And the next book is also out in this series. It's called Bittersweet Heart. And the 3rd one is coming out next year, which is very exciting. I really, really love this series. It's, again, this one is actually college age. I don't know if they're all going to be college age, but I assume they will be. This one in particular is college age. It's very reminiscent of Off-Campus, sort of, where they're living in a house on campus, and this girl is living with all these guys because they're her brother's friends, and she's living with her brother because the parents just decided they would rent out this one house for all their kids. And so she is living with all these guys, and this one guy that she was like super close with as a kid, and then sort of drifted apart, and he started like being mean to her. And now they are in college. He's still being mean to her, but she's kind of like, look, you gotta stop this. And they sort of end up going from there. I really, really love this book, like I said. This one, I think, is like a very different vibe from Pucked. It's definitely not, I don't want to say it's not as lighthearted because it is still like very enjoyable to read. But it's, I feel like, less sort of goofy almost. Like, I feel like Pucked almost crosses the goofy line, I feel like. But, like, in the best way. Like I said, it's just so fun to read and chill. And just, like, when you need, like, a good book that you know you're going to get through and not really have to use a whole lot of brain power. I feel like that's really good for that. This one, I think, is a little bit more deep and just, like I said, a different vibe. It's a, like, obviously the new adult. It's not adults. They're not professional hockey players. The guy in this book is in college, so is the girl, and is playing hockey, obviously. And like I said, really love this book, and I think this series as a whole is going to be really good. So definitely one of my favorite hockey series for sure. Next is another one that I feel like a lot of people are very familiar with. That is The Deal, or the Off-Campus series, and the Briar U series by Elle Kennedy. I'm going to talk about them together because to me they're just one big series. I have no idea why they're split up. But this one is obviously, like I said, very popular. This one is a college set hockey romance. This first one follows a girl who has her eye on this football player at this college, and she's like, oh, I would really like to go out with him, but he has no idea who I am or that I exist. And she ends up meeting the captain of the hockey team in one of her classes, and he really desperately needs a tutor in order to get his grades up so he can stay on the team. And she ends up making a deal with him that she will tutor him in exchange for him fake dating her so that this other guy notices her and gets jealous. And of course she sort of ends up growing on this guy and becoming interested in him. And I really love this series. I think I do probably like the Off-Campus books better than the Briar U books, but I do like all of them, to be honest. These ones are, again, very fun, light reads, not anything super heavy going on. Just like really, like I really like books like this where you can just pick it up and know that it's not going to drain like you emotionally. I know some people really like those books, but for me I prefer things that are more like relaxing to read. Like I don't want to be like tense when I'm reading a book. And so I do really enjoy these ones as well. Like I said, these are very popular. I feel like everyone's heard of these, but they are hockey romances in college. They all follow a different hockey player from the team. So there is always a hockey player in every one of the books. The first 4 books follow 4 roommates. They all rent a house together. So it's sort of got a cool dynamic with that where you already know who the 4 characters are going to be in the 4 books from this first book because you see them in the house, and I feel like they really just sort of grow on you as you're reading the other books, which I like. And so again, really good college hockey romance series if you're looking for that. Next is the CU Hockey series by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is actually an entire series of hockey romances, and I will say this series I found personally was a little bit repetitive. It deals with a lot of the same tropes. Almost every book in the series so far is like nerd and jock, like that's the trope. And I did enjoy these, but I think maybe if you read them like more spaced out, they're a little bit better than if you read them all back to back. And this first one follows a guy who's on the hockey team, and his twin brother is like super nerdy, not really into hockey at all, and his best friend is coming to this school that the guy is playing hockey at, and he's saying, you know, like watch out for him, but like stay away from him basically. And so he's like, okay, fine, like I'll stay away from him, but like obviously that's not what happens. And it sort of goes from there. This one is, again, college hockey. Each book follows a different hockey player. It does, I want to say, the like 5th or 6th book I think is not a hockey player, but is someone involved with the team, if I'm correct. I think one of them, no, I haven't read the last one, but I think it involves a professor, and I'm not sure if the other guy in the relationship is on the team or not, but it's all like the same sort of like friend group. And so this one is really good if you're looking for hockey romances. Like I said, they're all in this series, and they are really good. Would recommend reading them sort of spaced out because they do, like I said, get kind of repetitive with the similar tropes in each of them, but they are really good books as well. Next is the Him series by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is another hockey romance. This one is a series that follows the same couple through all 3 books. There's Him, Us, and Epic. Epic is a little novella, so it's super short. This one I really love. They just redid the covers of these actually, and they are so cute. They have like little cartoon covers now, which I really like and kind of want to buy because I don't really love this cover, but it was all that was available when I bought it. So I got this. This one follows 2 guys who were together when they were teenagers. They were just like best friends, and then they always went to this hockey summer camp together, and one year something happens that they just like stop talking to each other, and they have now bumped into each other in college, and they are talking about the summer camp, and one of them mentions that they go back and coach at this camp every summer, and the other one decides he's just going to show up and surprise this guy, and he's going to come for the summer as well. And things sort of go from there. I really love this series. It's one of my all-time favorite books ever. And I just really love Wes and Jamie, the guys in this book. They are just so cute together, and I love the summer camp setting. It was a little bit different for a hockey romance, but it is a hockey camp, so there is still like the hockey vibes, and they're both hockey players. It's just not as like direct, like they're not at school playing hockey or anything like that. But I did really, really enjoy this series. There's also a spin-off of that series that I feel like no one knows about because no one ever talks about it, but it's really good as well, and that is the WAG series by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is the first book. It is called Good Boy, and this one follows a guy from the hockey team. You see him in, I believe, Us, like the second book in the Him series. You see this guy, Blake, in that book, and he's super, super annoying in that book, but he, like, grows on you in this one, and it's just so good. This one takes place in Toronto, which I really loved, and he is a professional hockey player who ends up dating a university student, so it's sort of got the college vibes and the professional hockey vibes in this one, because it does cover both. There are only 2 books out in this series so far, which is kind of sad because I do really enjoy them, but this one is one of them. Really, really good as well. Like I said, I don't see a lot of people talking about this one, but it is a hockey romance series. Very reminiscent of the off-campus books, I feel like, because it's got that, like, college girlfriend kind of vibes going on. Next is the Brooklyn Bruisers series by Serena Bowen. I love these books. The first one is called Rookie Move. It is so, so good. It is a spin-off of her Ivy Years series, which is also sort of a hockey series, but not really. It's mostly just a college series. And I didn't love that one, but this series in particular I am obsessed with. I love the guys in these books. They are so sweet, and just, like, I love them, honestly. The first book follows a guy who ends up on this hockey team that is being, I think it's managed or owned by his high school ex-girlfriend's dad, but his high school ex-girlfriend is also working for the team as, like, their social media person or something like that, and so she is there all the time as well, and he is the sweetest guy on the planet. He is, like, so sad because she actually broke up with him at the end of high school, and he has never really gotten over her. He's, like, still in love with her and obsessed with her, and he doesn't understand why they broke up. He thought they were really good together, and he's just never really found anyone since her, and he's like, great, now I'm back, and she hates me, and her dad hates me for some unknown reason, because he's like, I didn't do anything, so I don't know why they both hate me, and he's just, like, really sad about it, but he still really loves her, and I just really, really love this book. It's so sweet. It's, again, professional hockey, obviously, because they're working together, and it is definitely, like, I think it's a little, it's not, like, super emotional, but it's not, like, super light either. It's just, like, that perfect, like, in the middle of, like, emotions, but, like, not over the top. And I just really love this. Like I said, the guys in this series are so, so sweet. I fell in love with all of them. I gave almost all the books in this series, I think I gave either 4 or 5 stars for sure. I think most of them probably 4.5 stars or 5 stars. And I just really, really love them. It's such a good series and super underrated because it's not that old, but I never see anyone talking about this one either, and it is so, so good. And lastly is the Vancouver Wolves series by Odette Stone. I've only read the first 2 books in the series so far, but I really loved them. The first one is Puck Me Secretly, and this one was super, super good. This is, again, interconnected standalones, and this one follows a hockey team in Vancouver, obviously, and it is a professional team, not college. And this first book follows a girl who's on a plane one day and it is crashing, and she is flipping out and she's just telling the guy beside her all kinds of random stuff, and he's just like, okay, like, cool, but they end up all surviving the plane crash, and she's like, wow, I just told this random dude all kinds of crazy things about my life. And they end up at the same hotel because they take everyone from this plane to the same hotel to stay until they can get them another plane and whatever. And so they sort of are around each other all night, and they see each other, and they end up staying together, and then they both go their separate ways, and they basically think, okay, we'll never see each other again. And they were both on a plane to Vancouver, which should have probably been the first hint that they may not see each other again. But they end up, she is going to intern for her dad's hockey team, which she's not super happy about, but she's just, like, doing it because she told him if he let her go to this school that she would intern with him. So she is just, like, repaying her end of the deal. She's going to intern with them, and he is a player on the team, but not only is he a player, he is, like, the most, like, troublesome player that got in trouble for, like, beating up some guy on another team and whatever, and, like, has all of these issues, and her dad basically puts her in charge of keeping him in line, and she's like, well, great, like, no one's supposed to know about us being together and whatever, and all this stuff, and it's just really, really good. I love the second one in this one as well. Like I said, there are 4 books in this series out so far. I'm not sure if there are going to be more published, but at this current moment in time, there are 4 books out, and I'm really excited to read the next 2. Like I said, I've only read the first 2 so far, but really, really loved them, and the series as a whole just seems like it is going to be really, really good. They all follow a different hockey player, obviously, and really excited about this one. So those are all of my hockey series for today. Like I said, I may do, like, an in-depth video on each series to actually talk more about each individual book in the series, But just wanted to do this as like sort of an overview of different hockey series. If you're looking for a new one to try out, these are definitely some good ones. And thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I will see you next time.